Let's go. All right. Starting off for the nuke zone. Ohio State versus Indiana. All right. Number 1 versus number 2. Undefeated versus undefeated. Statistically, these teams are amazing. All right. Ohio State, best defense in the country. One of the best offenses in the country. Indiana right there with them. Okay. It just straight up great football from both sides of this, okay? Ohio State, they're the best third down team in the country, offense and defense. They convert third down 55% of the time. 55. That is amazing. Okay. We're going to just go through Ohio State's offense, man. Starts with Julian Sand, okay? The Heisman contender at quarterback. Makes smart decisions. He made one bad decision versus Michigan. He's thrown one pick, 1 or 2 picks versus Big 10 competition. The dude's been playing great, okay? Does he have an easy job? Possibly, yeah. I mean, but does he make it easier on himself? Absolutely. He makes the right decisions. He makes things happen, okay? Then the guys he's throwing the ball to, Jeremiah Smith, possibly the best player in the country, as I've said multiple times. Absolute freak. Co-sustained to Calvin Johnson we've seen since Calvin Johnson, just to be honest with you. Carnell Tate, the dude's averaging like almost 20 yards per catch. We'll get to it later when we get there. True freshman Bo Jackson. He's really coming on as of late. 4 of his last 5 games, he has over 100 yards rushing, okay? He's averaging 103 through that span, 6.4 yards per carry in those last 5. And he just devoured Michigan, man. If you watched the game, he ran right through them, okay? Man, oh, man. I mean, I can't even break down these stats because I don't see an advantage for either one of these teams here. Like, I wrote them all down expecting to find something because you usually do. You're like, oh, yeah, this team can do this and this and this. No, okay, I don't find one. Just straight up great football from both these teams on both sides of the ball. So now I'm going to revert to what I know. Okay, what I know is Ohio State has NFL players littered all over this team. Okay, Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles on the defense side of the ball. The list goes on. Offense, the guys I just named off, and you can even name more. Okay, Brandon Ennis is probably a top 2 receiver on any other team. And he's number 3. He's a 3-hole over here for Ohio State. Man, oh, man. So I go into this. Can Indiana find a weakness on this Ohio State? I won't lie to you. I think Ohio State is a superior talented team. And I think basically anybody who watches football would agree with me. In just pure talent, Ohio State has the better team. Okay? I'm not saying that they're going to beat Indiana right now. I'm saying in pure talent, they have the better team. And if you argue that, you either have a crystal ball and see these NFL futures of Indiana, and I don't, or you just an Indiana homer. I'm just going to, it's just face the fact, okay? So my question is, can Indiana exploit a weakness of this Ohio State team, okay? Because my only weakness for Ohio State that I have found, and I have tried to find one, my only weakness I have found is that they've just been so good. And you're like, how is that a weakness? Because they haven't faced adversity, okay? I did get on my little shorts, and I said that Michigan punched them in the mouth because they went up 6-0. I do believe, yeah, that was a punch in the mouth. Michigan goes up 3-0, gets an interception, goes up 6-0, and you're in Ann Arbor and you've gotten beat by them 4 times in a row. I would take that as a punch in the mouth, okay? Especially considering that no one's came close to Ohio State this year. I'm going to say it's a punch in the mouth. But they blew them out, and it was quick, okay? They came right back like that, like it was nothing. I want to see them face true adversity. True adversity, like back against the wall, do or die type thing. And they've been so good, they haven't had to do it, okay? And that's not their fault, okay? They're doing their job. They're doing what great teams do and showing up and doing their job every weekend. And they haven't had a bad weekend. They just simply get it done week in and week out. It's amazing. They beat every team but Texas by 2 scores. And Texas was the very first game of the year. Now, Indiana's no slouch in that category either. They beat everybody but 2 teams by 2 scores. And both theirs were on the road. Okay? Man, oh, man. Okay. But, going back to the weakness, can Indiana's RPO scheme exploit a weakness? I don't know. What if Ohio State stopping the RPO exploits weaknesses for Indiana? All right? Can Indiana's offensive line hold up long enough for Mendoza if the RPOs ain't working? Like, say, hey, we got to just scrap the RPO crap. We're playing football now. And can you beat them one-on-one and hold up in a pass pro? I don't know if they can, all right? Because when Indiana went down versus Penn State, All right. And when they went down versus Penn State, they had to score to win. Okay. They had 2 drives. They got sacked once in each of those drives. 2 sacks back against the wall. You can't run RPOs. You ain't got enough time. You got to sling it. And then we got sacked twice. Now, it's a small sample size. Don't get me wrong. That's really small sample size. You're playing in Happy Valley, all the momentum against you, and you end up winning the game, so it doesn't matter. But I do question it. What happens when the RPOs are taken away? What happens when you got to line up and play football and you can't just quick hit yourself to a win? That's what I question. But they do have the athletes to do it. Cooper, 58 catches, 804 yards, 11 touchdowns. Surratt, 48 catches, 650 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Okay? In the backfield, Ramon Hemby and Black, they got over 1,500 yards rushing together. They both average over 5 yards per carry. They can play football. And then you got the Heisman candidate, Fernando Mendoza, like I said. He has great stats all the way around. Hey, write them down because they're so good. All right? But what happens? I just want to keep reverting back to that. What happens if the RPO gets shut down? All right? That is my big question for this team, man. What happens when the RPO gets shut down? Big question, man. All right? So I got to go back to, we're going to jump into this Ohio State offense, okay? Julian Sain, he has over 3,000 yards passing, 30 touchdowns. He's only been sacked 6 times, okay? Indiana, they've shown to get pressure on some teams. They got 6 sacks versus Oregon. They got 7 sacks versus Illinois, okay? They got 34 sacks on the year. Sain's only been sacked 6 times. Can that be a weakness? Can you get pressure on him and cause him to make mistakes, and that cause a weakness, okay? Because you got to exploit something if you're going to win this game, okay? That's how you're going to win. You got to exploit a weakness. Could that be the weakness? All right. I don't know. Bo Jackson, he's taken over as being the bell cow running back, basically. He's closing in on 1,000 yards. And then you got Donaldson. He's your big back goal line dude. And then you also got Weston Peoples back there. That's your 3 and 4 back. They're deep at the running back position, man. And then, like I said, Jeremiah Smith, Cornell Tate. Jeremiah Smith about to be 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Cornell Tate averages, I said close to 20. It was 18 yards per catch. Not to mention, you got a stud tight end in Max Clare. Bo Jackson's also great in the passing game. Go look up his stats there. All right. And then jump back to the defense side of the ball. Okay. Play big plays. That's something you don't get when you play Ohio State. Okay. You do not get big plays. Through the air, okay, passing plays over 20 yards or more. They've allowed 16 on the year. Only 16. All right. 5 of them went for over 30, and only 2 of them went for over 50. The longest play they've allowed this year was a 67-yard pass against Ohio. All right. And some of these plays aren't even in a crucial moment. I mean, like I said, they've blown out everybody. Some of these were during the blowout moments of the game. All right. Running the ball, they've only allowed 6 carries to go for over 20 yards. And I was being generous to their opponents because one of those was a fake punt for 20 yards versus Wisconsin. So basically, their defense has only allowed 5 runs of 20 yards or more. And only 2 of them went for over 30. They do not give up big plays at all. All year long, they haven't given up big plays. How does that change for Indiana? Can Indiana make that happen? Can they make that broken tackle? Can they get to the second level and then break it off to the third, the fourth, and then they're gone? Can they get that play? I question it, okay? It's hard to sit here and say somebody's going to do something on Ohio State when nobody's done it all year. Have they played the best competition? No. But they haven't let nobody sniff it. Like, it'd be different if, like, oh, you're almost we're back. No, nobody's done that. Nobody's almost broke through the wall of Ohio State. Ohio State has dominated. The most points they've allowed all year was versus Illinois, okay? No one scored over 20 points or even got to 20 versus Ohio State. This defense, Caleb Downs, like I said, Arvell Reese, Sonny Style, they can play football, okay? 11 teams this year under 200 yards passing. They held 11 teams under 200 yards. They held 6 of them under 100 yards passing. 10 teams they held under 100 yards rushing. The only teams they didn't, Texas with 166 in the very first game of the year, and you had 3 returning starters from your defense the year before. That's understandable. And then Michigan had 100 in the last game of the year. Rivalry game. I get it, okay? Michigan had 2 carries for 58 yards, by the way. Take those away. They had 22 carries for 42 yards, I believe. Yeah. So there you go. There you have it. This defense, man. Multiple looks. Matt Patricia, he's brought an NFL style to this team. And that's another reason I keep going back to how's this RPO scheme going to react to that. This dude's seen it all. He's been in the NFL. He's coming down to college. He's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. I think he's going to have the perfect game plan. I think he's going to throw out multiple looks like this and like that. In your RPO, he might even let you think it's going to work. And then bam, pick. He has so many weapons to work with on this defense. And trust me, I have rooted for Indiana. I love Coach Signetti. I love how hard they play. I love what they are doing. I love the fact they are winning at Indiana. I just question it, man. I just don't think, like, I get the whole emotional aspect. The passion trumps logic. Talent ain't everything. I just think this Ohio State team is far better, okay? And I'm not saying they can't be beat, all right? Can you put them in an adversity type situation? That's what Indiana's going to have to do, okay? And the more I look at it, it might be putting pressure on Julian Saint. Can you put pressure on him and cause turnovers? That right there might be the key. The turnovers is the key. Put Ohio State with their back against the wall and see how they react. Because if you get them in that, I trust Coach Signetti to run away with it. Not saying he's going to beat the crap out of them, but run into a win. You can put Ohio State's back against the wall with the confidence of that man, I think you got one. But you got to do that first. And no one's been able to do it. Ohio State has dominated, like I said. Every single team they played, they have owned them in every aspect of the game. Man. And I'm going to keep going back. Can they find the weakness? Can they cause adversity? Because Indiana has faced adversity, all right? They went to Penn State, Happy Valley, and they almost got beat, but they battled back, and they won at the end off an amazing catch, all right? Straight up, great catch. And there was multiple great catches throughout that drive and game, all right? They made some plays that game. They battled through adversity, and they won. They won a tough one in Iowa. They went to Eugene and won. Indiana has definitely played the tougher schedule of these two teams, all right? Not to mention they ransacked Illinois, okay? Beat them by 50-something. Now, granted, it wasn't home. I'll give you that. But, this Indiana defense, I've been sitting here bragging about Ohio State over and over and over and over. Indiana defense, though, they held Oregon under 200 yards passing. And if you've watched Oregon football this year, you know how well they run the ball. Yeah, they didn't get to 100 yards. Indiana held them under 200 yards passing and under 100 yards rushing. They had 2 picks. They had 6 sacks. If you watched Oregon this year, you see what I'm getting at here. That's big time. In Eugene, Oregon. It wasn't like they just did it in Indiana. Nuh-uh. They did it in Eugene. Illinois had 2 rushing yards versus just 2. Illinois had 161 yards of offense. Only 2 on the ground. They got sacked 7 times. They've held 8 teams under 200 yards passing. 4 got over 200. 3 of them under 100. All right. Running game, they've allowed 10 teams to not get to 100. Only 2 have gotten over 100, just like Ohio State. 34 sacks, like I said. I think that's key to the game now. Like, for Indiana to win, you're going to have to put pressure, and I've said it multiple times. Pressure leads to mistakes. Mistakes lead to turnovers, and turnovers lead to lost games or win games, whichever side of the game you're looking on here. All right? If you're getting pressure and forcing turnovers, that's going to lead to wins. If you're allowing that to happen, it's going to lead to a loss. All right? And I'm coming back to it. Can they find a weakness? And no, they can't. I don't think they do, okay? I don't think they get blown out, okay? This team plays too hard, and I do think they are too talented to just get dogged straight up, okay? I got Ohio State winning this game, okay? I think they shut down the RPOs. I think Matt Patricia has a great game plan planned out for these guys. And I don't think Ohio State gets put in one of them back against the wall adversity position, not this week, okay? Maybe if they meet up again and they have a better game plan, maybe. I can't, no. Ohio State is great in every facet of the game. Passing game, run game, especially, they're great, okay? Every level, first level, second level, third level, offense and defense, it does not matter. They are great, and I think that's going to continue. I'm not saying they blow Indiana out, but they're going to win. Give me Ohio State to win. All right. Give me Ohio State. Ohio State.